The galactic threat emerges. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, countless civilizations had risen and fallen over millennia. Some species had achieved interstellar travel, while others remained confined to their home planets. Among these diverse races, humanity stood out as a curious anomaly, a species both primitive and advanced, capable of great compassion and terrible destruction. It was in the Earth year 2157 when the galaxy faced its greatest challenge. A swarm of silicon-based lifeforms, collectively known as the Obsidian Hive, emerged from the depths of intergalactic space. These crystalline entities consumed everything in their path, converting organic and inorganic matter alike into more of their kind. Dr. Ilara Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, first detected the Obsidian Hive's approach through an array of deep space telescopes. As she analyzed the data in her lab at the Lunar Observatory, her heart raced with a mixture of scientific excitement and primal fear. "This can't be right," she muttered, rubbing her tired eyes. The holographic display before her showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with a massive, pulsating black mass steadily advancing towards the Orion Arm. Her assistant, an AI construct named AOIA, Advanced Research Intelligence Assistant, chimed in. "Dr. Chen, I've triple-checked the calculations. The data is accurate. The entity is consuming entire star systems at an alarming rate." Ilara's mind raced with the implications. Humanity had only recently taken its first tentative steps into interstellar space, establishing a handful of colonies in nearby star systems. They were ill-equipped to face a threat of this magnitude. As news of the impending doom spread across Earth and its colonies, panic set in. Governments scrambled to formulate plans, religious groups proclaimed the end times, and doomsday preppers emerged from their bunkers, smugly declaring, "I told you so." In the midst of this chaos, an unlikely hero emerged. Captain Marcus Donovan, a grizzled veteran of the Mars Wars, now commanded Earth's first interstellar warship, the ESS Defiant. When word of the Obsidian Hive reached him, he didn't hesitate to volunteer his ship and crew for a reconnaissance mission. "We need to know what we're up against," Donovan argued before the United Earth Council. "My team can get close enough to gather intel without being detected." The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some argued it was too risky, while others saw it as their only hope. In the end, desperation won out, and the mission was approved. As the Defiant prepared for launch, Dr. Chen insisted on joining the crew. "I'm the foremost expert on xenobiology," she stated firmly. "If anyone can find a weakness in these creatures, it's me." Captain Donovan grudgingly agreed, and soon the sleek, stealth-equipped vessel slipped away from Earth's orbit, heading towards the encroaching darkness. Weeks passed as the Defiant journeyed deeper into space. The crew trained relentlessly, preparing for any eventuality. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly in the ship's lab, analyzing what little data they had on the Obsidian Hive. It was during one of these late-night research sessions that ARIA made a breakthrough. "Dr. Chen, I've detected a pattern in the Hive's movement," the AI announced. "They seem to be avoiding certain types of stellar radiation." Hilara's eyes widened as she examined the data. "You're right, ARIA. This could be the key to stopping them." Just as hope began to blossom, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Donovan's voice crackled over the intercom. "All hands to battle stations. We've got company." The Defiant shuddered as a massive crystalline structure materialized before them, dwarfing the human vessel. Obsidian shards, each the size of a small moon, broke away from the main mass and hurtled towards the ship. "Evasive maneuvers," Donovan barked, his hands dancing across the helm controls. The Defiant twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding the deadly projectiles. Dr. Chen rushed to the bridge, clutching her datapad. "Captain, we need to get closer. I think I found a way to disrupt their molecular structure." Donovan gritted his teeth, weighing the risks. With a determined nod, he pushed the engines to their limit, diving straight towards the heart of the crystal swarm. As they approached, Ilara interfaced her pad with the ship's weapons systems, modulating our phasers to match the frequency of the stellar radiation they're avoiding. She explained hurriedly. Fire when ready. The Defiant unleashed a barrage of energy beams, each carefully tuned to exploit the Hive's weakness. To the crew's amazement, the massive crystalline structure began to fracture and crumble. It's working, Ilara exclaimed, her eyes shining with a mixture of relief and scientific fascination. But their victory was short-lived. As the first Hive structure disintegrated, dozens more materialized around them, trapping the Defiant in a cage of obsidian death. Captain Donovan's voice was grim as he addressed his crew. We've done what we came here to do. We found a weakness. Now it's time to make sure this information gets back to Earth. He turned to his communications officer. Send everything we've got, and may whatever gods are out there have mercy on our souls. As the Defiant prepared for its final stand, the data burst through subspace, carrying with it humanity's last hope for survival. The battle that followed would become legend, a tale of human courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. Back on Earth, as the information from the Defiant arrived, a spark of hope ignited. Humanity now had a fighting chance, but the real war was just beginning. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if this young, brash species from a backwater planet could rise to become the heroes the universe so desperately needed. Earth's unlikely heroes. As the data from the ESS Defiant reached Earth, the planet erupted into a frenzy of activity. The sacrifice of Captain Donovan and his crew had not been in vain. Their discovery of the Obsidian Hive's weakness to specific frequencies of stellar radiation became the cornerstone of Earth's defense strategy. Dr. Ilara Chen's sister, Major Zara Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, found herself thrust into the spotlight. Unlike her scientifically minded sibling, Zara was a tactician, known for her unconventional strategies and ability to inspire even the most disparate groups to work together. We need to think beyond conventional warfare, Zara argued in a tense meeting with Earth's military leaders. The Hive isn't just a threat to humanity, it's a threat to all life in the galaxy. We need to reach out to other species, form alliances. Her proposal was met with skepticism. Humanity's few encounters with alien races have been tense at best, outright hostile at worst. But as news of the Obsidian Hive's relentless advance spread, even the most isolationist factions began to see the wisdom in Zara's words. Meanwhile, in a cluttered workshop in Nigeria, a young engineer named Adebayo Okafor worked tirelessly on a revolutionary propulsion system. Adebayo had always been fascinated by the concept of folding space, and now, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, his experimental drive might be humanity's best hope for rapid interstellar travel. Just a little more, there. Adebayo exclaimed as the miniature prototype hummed to life, creating a tiny ripple in the fabric of space-time. His AI assistant, TAGI, recorded the successful test. Congratulations, Adebayo, TAGI's smooth voice intoned. Shall I inform the United Earth Council of our breakthrough? Adebayo nodded, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and determination. Yes, but make sure they understand, this is still experimental. We'll need resources, and fast, if we're going to scale this up in time. As Adebayo's invention caught the attention of Earth's leaders, another unlikely hero emerged from the depths of the internet. Harmony Zhang, a reclusive hacker known only by her online handle, Ghostwriter, had been monitoring transmissions from deep space for years, convinced that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. When news of the Obsidian Hive broke, Harmony knew her skills would be crucial. She reached out to Major Chen through encrypted channels, offering her services. I can crack any alien communication system, Harmony's message read. If we're going to form alliances, you're going to need a translator. Zara, recognizing the value of Harmony's skills, quickly brought her into the fold, much to the chagrin of more traditional military officials. As these diverse individuals came together, a plan began to take shape. Adebayo's folding drive would allow Earth to rapidly deploy its forces and reach potential alien allies. Harmony's communication skills would facilitate diplomacy and coordination, and Zora's strategic mind would tie it all together into a cohesive defense against the hive. But time was running out. Reports from the outer colonies painted a grim picture, world after world falling to the crystalline invaders. The obsidian hive was adapting, developing countermeasures to the radiation weakness discovered by the Defiant's crew. In a bold move, Zora proposed a daring mission. "We need to take the fight to them," she declared. "A small, elite team using Adebayo's prototype drive. We'll scout for allies, gather intelligence, and strike at the hive's weak points." The mission was approved, and Zora found herself assembling an eccentric crew. Adebayo, despite his preference for lab work, insisted on coming along to monitor his experimental drive. Harmony, dragged reluctantly from her digital sanctuary, brought her hacking skills and growing xenolinguistics knowledge. Rounding out the team was Yuki Tanaka, a former asteroid miner turned ace pilot, and Dr. Imani Okoro, a brilliant xenobiologist determined to continue her mentor Elara Chen's work. As their ship, christened the Phoenix, prepared for launch, Zora addressed her mismatched crew. "I won't lie to you. This mission is likely a one-way trip, but what we do here now will determine the fate of not just humanity, but all life in the galaxy." Adebayo nervously checked and rechecked his drive systems. Harmony sat quietly, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as she fine-tuned her translation algorithms. Yuki ran through pre-flight checks with practiced ease, while Dr. Okoro meticulously organized her lab equipment. As the Phoenix lifted off, carrying with it the hopes of Earth and the seeds of a galactic alliance, Zora couldn't help but feel a sense of bitter irony. Humanity, long divided by petty conflicts, was now tasked with uniting the galaxy against an existential threat. The ship cleared Earth's atmosphere, and Adebayo activated the folding drive. The stars blurred around them as the Phoenix leaped into the unknown, carrying its crew of unlikely heroes towards humanity's greatest challenge. Back on Earth, the remaining population watched the skies with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Factories were retooled to produce weapons capable of emitting the hive-disrupting radiation. Defense platforms were hastily constructed in orbit. Every resource, every mind, was bent towards survival. As the Phoenix vanished into the depths of space, Earth steeled itself for the coming storm. The fate of humanity, indeed of all life in the galaxy, now rested in the hands of a soldier, a hacker, an engineer, a pilot, and a scientist. The greatest adventure in human history had begun, and the universe watched with bated breath to see if this young, fractious species could rise to become the heroes it so desperately needed. The battle for Proxima Centauri. The Phoenix emerged from its first fold space jump in a burst of swirling energy, the experimental drive humming as it cooled down. The crew found themselves in orbit around Proxima Centauri b, humanity's first extrasolar colony, and now the front line in the war against the obsidian hive. Status report. Major Zora Chen commanded, her eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding the bridge. Yuki's hands danced across the helm controls. "We've arrived at the designated coordinates, Major. No sign of hive activity in the immediate vicinity." Harmony, hunched over her communication array, frowned. "That's odd. I'm picking up distress signals, but they're not human." Dr. Okoro leaned in, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Can you isolate the signal?" As Harmony worked to decode the alien transmission, the scene outside the viewports changed dramatically. A massive ship, easily 10 times the size of the Phoenix, decloaked directly ahead of them. Its biomechanical design was unlike anything in human records. "Evasive maneuvers," Zora shouted, but before Yuki could react, the ship was caught in a tractor beam. Adebayo's voice came through the intercom, tinged with panic. "The drive can't function while we're caught in this field. We're stuck." As tension mounted on the bridge, Harmony's eyes widened, Wait, I've decoded the transmission. They're not hostile, they're asking for help. The alien ship's hangar bay opened, gently pulling the Phoenix inside. As the atmosphere stabilized, Zara made a decision. Dr. Okoro, Harmony, you're with me. We're going to meet our hosts, Yuki, Adebayo. Stay with the ship and be ready for anything. The trio stepped onto the alien vessel, immediately struck by its organic architecture. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along the walls, and the air was thick with a sweet, unfamiliar scent. They didn't have to wait long before meeting the ship's inhabitants. Tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and multiple pairs of arms glided towards them. Harmony's translation device crackled to life. Greetings, humans. The lead alien's thoughts resonated in their minds. We are the Lysines. We have been watching your kind for some time, hoping you might be the ones prophecy spoke of. Zara, ever the diplomat, stepped forward. I am Major Zara Chen of Earth. We come seeking allies against the Obsidian Hive. The Lysines' large, compound eyes blinked rapidly. The Devourers have returned. Then it is as the Ancient Ones foretold. Come, there is much to discuss and little time. As they followed the Lysines deeper into the ship, Dr. Okoro couldn't contain her scientific curiosity. Your biology, your technology, it's incredible. How do you interface with your ship? The Lysine guy seemed pleased by her interest. Our species evolved in symbiosis with a sentient fungal network. It allows us to meld our consciousness with our technology. But we are not warriors, and against the Devourers, our defenses have proven inadequate. They entered a vast chamber, its walls lined with what appeared to be organic computer terminals. A holographic representation of a galaxy floated in the center, red markers indicating the hive's advance. We have been monitoring the Devourers' progress, another Lysine explained. They have already consumed several of our outer colonies. We came here hoping to evacuate your people, but it seems we arrived too late. Zara's heart sank as she saw the devastation on Proxima Centauri B. The colony, once a thriving outpost of humanity, was now a crystalline wasteland. Not too late, Zara declared, her voice firm. We can still fight. Earth has discovered a weakness in the hive's structure. With your technology and our tactics, we might stand a chance. The Lysines conferred among themselves, their thoughts a rapid-fire exchange that the humans couldn't follow. Finally, their leader turned back to Zara. We will join your alliance, Major Chen. Our ship, the Mycelium, is yours to command. But we must act quickly. Our long-range sensors indicate a hive cluster approaching this system. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. The holographic display zoomed in, showing a swarm of obsidian high ships entering the system. Back to the Phoenix, Zara ordered. Harmony, establish a secure link with the Lysines. Dr. Okoro, work with them to integrate our anti-hive weapons with their systems. The next few hours were a flurry of activity as humans and Lysines worked together, racing against time. Adebayo's eyes lit up as he explored the alien ship's propulsion systems, already formulating ways to improve his own designs. As the hive forces approached, Zara stood on the Mycelium's bridge, surrounded by her human crew and their new alien allies. This is it, she addressed them all. The first true battle between the united forces of life and the Obsidian Hive. Everything we do here will echo across the galaxy. We fight not just for Earth, not just for the Lysines, but for all life everywhere. The hive ships came into view, their crystalline structures glittering ominously in the light of Proxima Centauri. Yuki's voice came through the comm system. Phoenix ready for combat, Major. All ships execute Battle Plan Omega, Zara commanded. Let's show these silicon bastards what happens when they mess with carbon-based life. The space around Proxima Centauri erupted into chaos as the combined fleet engaged the hive. The Phoenix darted between larger hive structures, its modified weapons leaving trails of fractured crystal in its wake. The Mycelium's organic technology proved remarkably effective, its fungal spores disrupting the hive's communication networks. But the battle was far from one-sided. Several Lysine ships fell to the hive's relentless assault, and even the mycelium's hull bore scars from crystalline impacts. As the tide of battle hung in the balance, Dr. Okoro made a breakthrough. "Major," her excited voice cut through the chaos of the bridge. "I've analyzed the hive's adaptation to our original frequency. If we modulate our weapons to cycle through these specific bands, we can stay ahead of their evolution." Zara didn't hesitate. "Do it. Transmit the specifications to all ships." The effect was immediate and dramatic. Hive ships began to shatter under the combined assault, unable to adapt quickly enough to the constantly shifting frequencies. As the last hive structure crumbled, a cheer went up across the fleet. They had done it. The first major victory against the Obsidian Hive. But Zara knew this was only the beginning. As reports came in from across the sector, it was clear that the Hive's main force was still advancing, adapting and growing stronger with each encounter. On the bridge of the mycelium, humans and Lysines stood side by side, watching the glittering debris of the Hive fleet drift against the backdrop of Proxima Centauri. They had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy's survival was far from over. Zara's voice was solemn as she addressed her crew and their new allies. "We've proven that united, we can stand against the Hive. Now we need to take this victory and build on it. There are more allies to find, more battles to be fought. The fate of all life in the galaxy rests on what we do next." As the combined fleet prepared to jump to their next destination, the Phoenix leading the way with its revolutionary drive, a new sense of hope spread across the stars. The unlikely heroes from Earth had taken their first step towards becoming the saviors the universe needed. The battle for Proxima Centauri was over, but the war for life itself had only just begun. Alien alliances and human ingenuity. The victory at Proxima Centauri had been hard won, but it was only the beginning. As the combined human-Lysine fleet pushed deeper into space, they encountered both wonders and horrors beyond imagination. The Obsidian Hive's path of destruction was evident in system after system, but so too were pockets of resistance, alien civilizations fighting desperately for survival. Aboard the Phoenix, now serving as a flagship for this growing alliance, Major Zara Chen pored over reports from their latest encounter. "Another species lost," she murmured, her voice heavy with the weight of countless extinctions. Harmony, her eyes never leaving the streams of data flowing across her screens, spoke up. "But we saved 3 others, Major. The Vulcrin, the Zgak, and the Meridians have all pledged their support to our cause." Dr. Okoro nodded enthusiastically. "And each brings unique abilities to our alliance. The Vulcrin's face-shifting technology, the Zgek's hive mind coordination, the Meridian's energy manipulation, combined with Lysine biotech and human adaptability, were becoming a force to be reckoned with." Zara allowed herself a small smile. "You're right, of course. Adebayo, how are the upgrades to the fleet coming along?" The young engineer's hologram flickered to life on the bridge, his eyes shining with excitement despite the obvious exhaustion on his face. "It's incredible, Major. The Meridians helped me refine the Fold space drive. We can now jump twice as far with half the energy expenditure, and the Zgek have improved our neural interfaces. Fleet coordination is now nearly instantaneous." As the team discussed their progress, Yuki's voice cut through the conversation, tense and urgent. "Major, we've got a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up a massive hive fleet heading towards the Arcturus system." Zara's blood ran cold. Arcturus was home to one of humanity's largest off-world colonies. If it fell, Earth would be next. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed, less than 72 hours, Yuki replied grimly. Zara's mind raced. Their fleet, while growing, was still no match for a hive armada of that size. They needed an edge, something a hive wouldn't expect. "Harmony, contact all our allies. I want every ship we can muster at these coordinates in 24 hours. Adebayo, work with the Lysines and Meridians. I need our weapons upgraded, and I need it yesterday. Dr. Okoro, you and the Vulcan focus on defense. Find a way to protect our ships from crystallization." As the crew sprang into action, Zara retreated to her quarters, the weight of billions of lives pressing down on her shoulders. She activated a secure channel to Earth, updating them on the situation and requesting any additional support they could provide. The next day was a blur of activity. Ships from a dozen different species arrived, each bringing their own unique technologies and tactics. The Phoenix's hangar bay became a hub of frantic collaboration as scientists and engineers from across the galaxy worked to integrate their systems. Adebayo emerged from the chaos, his clothes stained with various alien fluids, but his eyes blazing with triumph. "Major, I think we've done it. We've managed to create a cascading energy weapon that mimics the frequency variations of a supernova. In theory, it should shatter any hive structure, no matter how adapted they've become." Dr. Okoro was quick to follow with her own breakthrough. "And we've developed a phase shift shield. It won't last long, but it should buy our ships enough time to get in close and deliver Adebayo's payload." Zara nodded, a fierce pride in her crew tempered by the knowledge of what was to come. "Excellent work, both of you. Get some rest. We jump to Arcturus in 6 hours." As the deadline approached, Zara addressed the assembled fleet. Ships of all shapes and sizes filled the view screen, a testament to the diversity of life they were fighting to protect. "We face our greatest challenge yet," Zara began, her voice carried across the stars to every ship in the Alliance. "The Hive seeks to extinguish all life, to remake the galaxy in its own crystalline image. But in doing so, they have united us as nothing else could. Look around you. See the beings standing beside you, beings you might once have called strange or alien. Today they are your comrades, your brothers and sisters in arms." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are not just fighting for our individual worlds now. We fight for life itself, in all its beautiful, chaotic diversity. The Hive believes us weak because we are different. Today, we prove that our differences are our strength." A cheer went up across the fleet, a cacophony of voices, clicks, and telepathic exultations. As one, they jumped towards Arcturus, towards humanity's future and the fate of all life in the galaxy. The Arcturus system came into view, and with it, the terrifying sight of the Hive Armada. Countless crystalline structures blotted out the stars, their sharp edges gleaming with malevolent purpose. "All ships, assume attack formation," Zara commanded, her voice steady despite the odds they faced. "Remember your training, remember why we fight. Weapons free, give them hell." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations across 1,000 worlds. The Alliance fleet darted and weaved through the Hive formations, their newly upgraded weapons shattering crystal ships into cosmic dust. Vulcan phase shifters allowed nimble attack craft to slip past Hive defenses, while Skuk coordination kept the fleet moving as one, anticipating the Hive's attacks before they happened. But the Hive was relentless, its numbers seemingly endless. For every crystalline ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. The Alliance's losses began to mount, and Zara watched with growing despair as ship after ship winked out of existence. Just as it seemed the tide was turning against them, Harmony's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "Major, I'm picking up a transmission from Earth. They're saying the Lazarus Protocol is ready." Zara's eyes widened. The Lazarus Protocol had been a top-secret project, a last-ditch effort she'd almost forgotten about in the heat of battle. "Patch them through." The grizzled face of Admiral Johansson appeared on screen. "Major Chen, your efforts have bought us the time we needed. Prepare your fleet for a tactical retreat. We're about to remind these crystal bastards why humanity is a force to be reckoned with." As the Alliance fleet disengaged, pulling back to the outer edges of the system, a massive portal tear opened in space. From it emerged a ship unlike any Zara had seen before, its hull crackling with energy that made her eyes water to look at it directly. "Behold," Admiral Johansson's voice rang out across all channels. The ESS Lazarus, the culmination of every scrap of knowledge we've gleaned from our allies and enemies alike. The Lazarus moved with impossible speed, its weapons lashing out with beams of pure destruction that cut through the Hive fleet like a hot knife through butter. But it wasn't just a weapon. In its wake, shimmering fields of energy began to coalesce, repairing the damage done to planets and space stations. It's not just destroying the Hive, Dr. Okoro breathed in awe. It's reversing the crystallization process. It's bringing dead worlds back to life. As the Hive fleet crumbled under the Lazarus assault, Zara felt a surge of hope unlike anything she'd experienced since this war began. Humanity had done the impossible. They had not only found a way to defeat the Hive, but to heal the very fabric of space-time itself. The battle for Arcturus was over, and with it, the tide of war had finally turned. But Zara knew their greatest challenge still lay ahead. The Hive would not take this defeat lightly, and their main force, the Obsidian Core, was still out there, adapting and evolving. As the fleet regrouped, celebrating their victory and mourning their losses, Zara gazed out at the stars. The final battle loomed on the horizon, a confrontation that would determine the fate of all life in the galaxy. But for the first time since this war began, she allowed herself to believe that they might just win. New era of galactic cooperation. In the years that followed the defeat of the Obsidian Hive, the galaxy underwent a transformation unlike any in its long history. The alliance forged in the heat of battle did not dissolve with the threat's passing, but instead grew stronger, evolving into a new form of galactic society. On Earth, the return of the surviving fleet was met with jubilation tinged with sorrow. The heroes who had saved not one but two galaxies were honored, their names etched into monuments that stretched towards the stars they had defended. But for every celebration, there was a reminder of the cost: empty chairs at dinner tables, names read at memorial services, worlds forever changed by the touch of crystalline devastation. Dr. Imani Okoro, one of the few survivors from the Phoenix's final mission, found herself at the forefront of a new scientific renaissance. The knowledge gained from the war, from the myriad alien species they had encountered, opened up avenues of research previously unimaginable. The Hive's ability to adapt, to evolve so rapidly, if we can harness that for beneficial purposes, the medical implications alone are staggering, she explained to a rapt audience at the newly established Interstellar Academy of Sciences. Adebayo Okafor, his experience with the Fold space drive, now supplemented by technologies from a dozen worlds, led a team dedicated to pushing the boundaries of faster-than-light travel. Their work promised to shrink the vast distances between stars, bringing the far-flung members of the new galactic community closer together. Harmony Zhang, once a reclusive hacker, now found herself the head of a new department of xenolinguistics and communication. Her ability to bridge the gap between vastly different forms of sentience proved invaluable as more and more species joined the growing interstellar community. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening on a galactic scale. The Galactic Concord, as the new alliance came to be known, established its headquarters on a massive space station at the site of the final battle. Here, representatives from hundreds of species came together to shape the future of two galaxies. One of the Concord's first acts was to establish the Sentinel Program, a joint peacekeeping and scientific expedition force. Its mission was twofold: to explore the farthest reaches of both the Milky Way and Andromeda, seeking out new life and new civilizations, and to stand vigilant against any resurgence of the Hive or similar threats. The ESS Lazarus II, built from the ashes of its predecessor, became the flagship of this new fleet. Its crew, drawn from the best and brightest of 100 worlds, embodied the spirit of cooperation that had saved the galaxy. On the bridge of the Lazarus II, Captain Zara Chen, promoted posthumously and now honored in holographic form, stood as a constant reminder of the sacrifices made and the legacy they all carried forward. As the years turned to decades and decades to centuries, the scars left by the war began to heal. Worlds once ravaged by the Hive were reborn, their ecosystems carefully reconstructed using a combination of Earth-based terraforming techniques and alien bioengineering. The crystalline structures left behind by the hive, once objects of terror, became subjects of intense study. Scientists discovered ways to repurpose the self-replicating crystals for everything from construction materials to advanced computing systems. But perhaps the most profound change was in the collective psyche of the galaxy's inhabitants. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or outright hostility now worked side by side, their differences celebrated rather than feared. The diversity that the Hive had sought to eradicate became the greatest strength of this new galactic civilization. As the Lazarus E prepared for its maiden voyage, setting out to explore the uncharted regions of Andromeda, its crew gathered on the observation deck. Beings of all shapes and sizes stood together, gazing out at the star-filled void that was now their shared frontier. The ship's captain, a young human named Aisha Chen, a distant descendant of Zara, addressed her crew. "We stand here today as the inheritors of a great legacy. Our ancestors faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but united. They proved that the greatest strength of life is not in uniformity, but in diversity. In our differences, we find new perspectives, new solutions, new ways to grow and thrive." She paused, her eyes sweeping across the assembled crew. "As we venture into the unknown, we carry with us the spirit of those who came before. We are explorers, peacekeepers, scientists, and diplomats. But above all, we are the guardians of life in all its wondrous forms. The universe once needed heroes, and humanity answered. Now, we go forth not as conquerors, but as friends, ready to extend the hand of fellowship to all we may encounter." As the Lazarus Ki engaged its engines, preparing to make the jump to fold space, a sense of limitless possibility filled the air. The war against the Obsidian Hive had brought the galaxy to the brink of extinction, but from that crucible, something beautiful had emerged, a civilization that spanned two galaxies, united in its celebration of life and diversity. The stars beckoned, filled with promise and potential, and as the Lazarus E vanished in a flash of light, embarking on the next great chapter of galactic history, one thing was certain: whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as one united galactic family. For in the end, the greatest victory against the Obsidian Hive hadn't been won through weapons or technology, but through the unbreakable bonds forged between countless different species. The universe had needed heroes, and in rising to that challenge, humanity had helped give birth to a new age of cooperation, exploration, and hope. As the Lazarus E journeyed into the unknown, it carried with it the dreams of trillions, the legacy of those who had sacrificed everything, and the unshakable belief that together there was no challenge they could not overcome. The story of humanity's stand against the Obsidian Hive was over. But the story of life in the galaxy, diverse, resilient, and united, was only just beginning.